Chinese ethnics are often overrepresented in academic achievement in Western countries. Just look at some of the news here. When I say Chinese, I'm not talking about Chinese national. I'm talking about people of the Chinese heritage that still identify with Chinese culture, traditional culture and mindset. Someone who looks like me. I was born and grew up in Jakarta, Indonesia, and my parents were born and grew up in Jakarta, Indonesia too. So what's the point to learn about the dark side of being Chinese Indonesian? First, if you plan to do business or have a business partner in Indonesia, there's a big chance that you will bump into Chinese Indonesian. So it's great if you know where they're coming from. And second, I suspect that the experience and observation that I'm going to share here also apply to the Chinese diaspora in Western countries. At least I know that is for true in my kids' local school in Australia. Before I start, let me put a disclaimer out there. This video is purely based on my own personal experience and observation. Obviously, it's not going to apply to anyone with Chinese heritage. Without that out of the way, let's start. Number one, overemphasize on education achievement. There's nothing wrong doing well at school. In fact, I believe that having a good quality education is a human right. Here I'm talking about to pursue academic excellence at the expense of everything else like social life or personal interests. My parents had a high expectation on me. I was constantly compared to my peers, and no matter how much effort I put in, it's never good enough. Actually, they don't really care about my effort. They just want to see the final result, A+, especially in math. Feeling depressed is just a sign of weakness. I just have to snap it out. When I read Amy Chua's Hymn of Tiger Mom, I can't help thinking back to my own childhood. I do understand my parents did what they did for our own sake. They believe that being smart is not something you were born into. It's something that you have to work hard on. It's a complete opposite compared to average kids grew up in Australian-born parents. Their parenting style is more relaxed and they don't fuss too much about academic as long as the kids are happy. So it's no wonder that Asian kids from the first-gen migrants' parents constantly feel the top selective school in Australia. Thankfully, my generation start to wise up because now we can see that some of our most successful among us from high school, money-wise, they are not the smartest kids in the class. We still value traditional education, don't get me wrong, but we don't micromanage their life choice. I tried to do that when my daughter showed me the list of the Australian children's rights when I asked her to do the homework. Number two, extremely money-oriented. What I noticed in Australia, Westerners are more into pursuing their own happiness, self-discovery, self-healing, and so on. It's like earning some money is like a byproduct for pursuing that sort of stuff. But in my Chinese social circle, being rich and happy is the same thing, even if that means you need to be away from your family or you need to run a small shop 60 hours per day for 7 days per week. Anyone marrying Chinese Indonesian would notice that almost all family gathering will center around how to cuan more, business opportunity, or your uncle Aguan now owns that block of property. It's probably something ingrained in our culture. Ronnie Chiang said it the best in this clip.
During Chinese New Year, the biggest holiday for Chinese people, Chinese New Year. When we see each other during Chinese New Year, the way we greet each other is we say 恭喜发财 or 恭喜发财 in Cantonese. I'm sure you've heard that, at least peripherally, right? 恭喜发财, 恭喜发财. 恭喜发财 means hope you get rich. That's not Happy New Year. Do you understand? The go-to phrase during Chinese New Year isn't, hey, Happy New Year. It's, yo, hope you get rich.
Another thing is the concept of retirement or having a hobby for its own sake is so alien. I know many aunties run a shop even though they have more than enough money to last through 3 generations. Pursuing a personal interest feels like an unproductive thing for them to do. Why stop if you can make more time than money? While the billionaires like Gates, Buffett pledge to give away majority of their wealth through the giving pledge, how the money is spent by tax deductions or spent on the ground is another story. That's beside the point. My point is, you'll be hard-pressed to find a billionaire from Chinese cultural background to give away majority of their wealth. They'll be most likely to pass it to their children to continue the business dynasty. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Their money, their choice. I'm just describing a cultural difference. So please give this video a like and subscribe. I promise I will give away majority of my wealth if I become a billionaire from YouTube. Number 3. Either you're a boss or a coolie. Friend of mine got a master's degree in engineering with distinction average from the top Australian university. He is bright and dreamed to have a career as a mechanical engineer. And guess what he's doing now? Running a small shop in Jakarta. For most people, it's a colossal waste of talent. He's not happy, yet his parents don't understand why he feels that way. Why do you want to be an employee if you can be the boss of your own, in your own shop? His parents paid for his tuition fee, and for them, their son having a degree from prestigious university is an achievement in itself. It doesn't matter that he never got a chance to practice what he learned. And he's not the only one. I have seen at least 4 of my friends being told to get back to Indonesia to run a family business shop against their will. Sure, they're a boss, but they don't feel like they're living the life on their own terms. In Chinese Indonesian social circle, there are only 2 types of social classes. Either you are a boss or a coolie. When someone says coolie in Indonesia, this is the image they have in mind, not this. But that's what my high-earning manager friend in Jakarta often say. Besok mesti nguli nih. I have to break my back tomorrow for a spoonful of rice. He might earn more than a small shop owner around the corner and probably have a better work and life balance. But at the end of the day, he's just a glorified coolie because the fruits of his labor will never be truly his. And that puts him near the bottom of Chinese Indonesian social hierarchy. Of course, being a CEO, doctor, or manager is still a respectable profession, but that won't be their first preference. Chinese Indonesians often have more freedom from the social circle pressure after they move overseas, like Rita Kusuma, former head of finance, become a bus driver in Sydney for flexibility and work-life balance. That's a lousy reason. Circumstances forcing you to do a menial job to pay bills is fine, but it's not okay to do it out of choice. And that's the price she pays back home, to endure familial shame. And before I leave, let me share your last thought. After listening to the dark side of being born a Chinese Indonesian, you might think that what I'm describing here just the traits that drive people to succeed. Well, maybe you're right, because I've been living in Australia long enough. Probably because I'm being exposed to Australian way of life, and that changed my life outlook. People here sometimes say, take it easy, mate, when they say goodbye to each other. But taking an easy life sounds like a luxury if you're a minority in Indonesia. Doing well academically and having truckloads of money becomes necessity to increase our leverage to protect ourselves. The more we can offer, the higher the chance we can secure our future. Also, in Indonesia, it's common to manage people out to retirement by the age of 55. It happened to my dad. He kept telling me to run my own business if I can. But here I am making videos on YouTube. That's it for me, guys. Please give it a like and subscribe if you learned something new. I will see you next time. Bye.